What is up, you guys? Welcome back to me, TV Reviews. I am your host, Mo, and tonight, y'all, we are doing something new. Y'all, Goosebumps is back, and for whatever reason, Hulu has decided to release all of the episodes at once, but y'all know that ain't how Mo roll, okay? So the goal was to try to get 2 episodes on this, but yeah, no. I did so many shows this week, y'all. I doubled them up, okay? So shows are coming between tonight and tomorrow. I hope you guys had a wonderful week thus far. Y'all, it's going to be back to the hustle and bustle tomorrow. All right, but we're going to be talking about Goosebumps tonight. This is Goosebumps The Vanishing. Now, I would have thought that this would have been season 2, episode 1, but this is season 1, episode 1, titled Stay Out of the Basement, part 1. So I'm assuming that they're just going to be going like, book for book. So anthology. Anywho, let's go ahead, get into the synopsis real quick, and then we're going to get right into the episode. So the synopsis for this one is 2 siblings unearth a link between a family tragedy and a long dormant threat. All right, y'all. So we begin the episode in the year 1994 in Brooklyn, New York, okay? As 4 teens are making a trek to this old hospital-type facility that's supposed to be haunted. I think this is called Gravesend, but don't quote me on that. All right, so they're being led by a guy named Maddie as they blast Beastie Boys. Now, there are some more people with him. There's another guy who I don't know the name of and 2 girls there with them, one of them being named Nicole. So he's telling them a little bit of folklore about the place when the door closes behind them after they had made their trek, right? And then walking down through this long tunnel, they finally made it to the haunted room or supposed haunted room. And once they get there, the door closes behind them. It scares them half to death, right? What makes it even spookier is the fact that Maddie's brother Anthony pops out of nowhere. Okay, quick jump scare. Now, Anthony ain't supposed to be there. And so Maddie hurries to get him out of there. Mom is going to kill me if she knows you're down here. And so he was like, he's trying to be one with the crew. Okay, he's trying to hang out with his brother. But Maddie ain't having it. So he get rid of him real fast. And it seems to be just in time because once he comes back, whatever happened, they were playing with the electrical system on like the panel board and it triggered something, right? Which opens up this compartment in the floor. So when the compartment opens, it releases this type of black airborne toxin that Maddie inhales, right? It smells really bad, according to the rest of the group. And y'all, next thing we see is them pointing to Maddie's face and he happens to go black, like Invisible Man, right? He turns black and he melts away. Complete disfigurement real fast. So fast forward to 30 years and we're still in Brooklyn, but we've got some new faces. We've got Devin and Cece, who happen to be twins, and they're there for the summer to hang out with their dad, Anthony. Okay, so this is Maddie's brother. He's just grown up. Now, although they're twins, of course, their personalities can be more different. But Anthony is quite peculiar in his own ways, okay? But he means well. Now, he picks them up and brings them back to his mother's house, who had just had to be moved into a nursing home due to her worsening dementia, or so they believe. When they arrive back at the house, though, he has to ask Trey, his next door neighbor, Joe Jr.'s son, to move his car. Now, Trey is Joe Jr.'s junior, so that's why they call him Trey, because he's Joe the third. So Trey is a little irritated because apparently Aunt's mom will let him park there all the time, but Aunt was like, okay, first off, she didn't have a car. Second off, she had dementia. So where, of course she was going to let you park here. She didn't have nowhere to go with what car? So he gives them rule packets. And he also mentions one cardinal rule, and that is to stay out of the basement. Now, he takes them down there just so they can see what's there. And it's like all of these different beakers and, little lab cylinders and all of that. Y'all, it is chemistry class for geeks. Okay, this is like their heaven down there. So he takes them down there just so they can see what they can see. And Devin starts to touch one of the beakers, and y'all, Ant almost had a coronary event. I'm telling you, he was about to blow a gasket. Now, it turns out Ant is a botanist, and he's on the verge of a serious breakthrough, according to him, but he wants to celebrate them being there. So he ends up taking them to a good spot for dinner. Now, when they arrive at said restaurant, they run into the owner's son, CJ, who happens to be around their age, and he's there for the summer. And so as CJ is pulling up, his mama is coming out, Mama Gwen, and she's scolding him for taking too long to make the deliveries. But of course, CJ is young, and time isn't really a thing to him. It's not all that important. So before he leaves for his next delivery, he invites Devin and Cece to a kickback in the park later. So while they're eating dinner, we find out that Cece is actually going to be taking a train into town every day to go to debate camp, while Devin is just there trying to sort through some emotions. Apparently, he had got into a fight at school, and so even though he says it's self-defense, Anthony is like, yeah, but you still should be able to refrain after a while, right? Get him up off of you and draw back. So they come back home, but Anne stops to talk to an old friend, Jen, who I assume is probably a cop, or at least a former cop, maybe, because she's dropping by to talk to him about Joe Jr. Now, Joe Jr. had apparently filed a harassment complaint due to the fact that Trey had to move his car. I was like, the entitlement of it all. Y'all can't park in y'all driveway. What about your side of the street? Because they live across the street. So he done filed this harassment complaint, and she's also there to give him Maddie's clothes from the day that he had died, right? 30 years later, I was like, why did it take so much time? Who finally gave y'all permission to release these pieces of evidence? Don't they usually burn stuff after a couple of decades? Anywho, so she tries to talk to him about that night, but Ann really don't feel up to talking. Instead, he goes inside and he heads straight to the basement. Now, the kids kind of overheard their conversation, and so they're curious as to what's going on. Now, the next morning, or at least I thought it was the next morning, Devin walks in on a heated discussion between Ann and their mom, Tori, about not keeping him in the loop when it pertains to the kids and, the different things that they're doing as far as extracurricular activities and camps during the summer. He needs to know these things so they can co-parent efficiently, right? Sometimes it's a very fine line. Now, I don't know what he thought he was doing. He needs to stick to botany and just keep ordering out, because apparently he tried to fix them some waffles, but they was black, y'all. They was burnt. Like, use the knife to scrape the burnt off burnt, right? I don't know how long he left them in the toaster. They ain't no good. And so he wanted them to try to eat, y'all, but they was like, nah, that's okay. And so instead they head to the store to get actual hygiene products when this girl tries to come in the store. But before she could step foot in the door, y'all, the owner, or I'm assuming one of the owner, maybe it's just a worker there, tells her that she couldn't come in because apparently they done had some confrontations in the past. Maybe old girl is known for shoplifting there. I don't know, but either way, she ain't getting in. So old girl was trying to say how they're discriminating against her, how they're being racist, and she pulled out her phone to go on live, right? Well, the owner has a phone too, and she know how to go on live as well. So she pulled out her phone and she started recording. Now the girl who's on live she's got her camera up, but she sees Cece in the back. Now Cece done took advantage of the commotion, and she done slipped this lipstick in her purse, right? While she thought nobody was looking, but old girl saw her. And so old girl was like, oh, okay, it's okay. I ain't gonna worry about it. She had came in there for some Advil, so initially I thought that Cece had got the Advil for her, but But we'll get there, right? And so, so later on, they actually end up, no, they're still in the store. And Devin is just trying to figure out if he can find him some smell goods, because apparently at this kickback, Frankie is probably going to be there. Now, Frankie is his 8th grade crush. Okay. And so, although they're a little bit older now, maybe he's thinking she might still have the hots for him. She might be crushing on him still. And so, he's trying to smell good for his boo. Now, Cece tries to give him some tips, but they go in one ear and out the other, y'all. As soon as he see Frankie, his mind just goes blank. So CJ, of course, is excited to see them there and instantly comments on Devin's lack of being able to spit game to Frankie. Now, it don't matter no way, because we find out shortly after that Frankie has a boo, and his name is Trey. So Devin and Frankie exchanged little, Devin and Trey exchanged little jabs here and there. So we know that this is going to be a really long summer. Now, elsewhere, Cece and the girl from the store share lipstick because a girl roll up on Cece, right? And Cece was putting this lipstick on when she grabbed it out her hand and she put it on her lips. And so she was like, my mama said that you're not supposed to do that because germs. And she was like, well, the last time I checked, you ain't supposed to steal because laws. And with that, y'all, she walk off. So Devin comes over and he's like, man, you ready to go? This ain't really my scene, because he's upset, that he can't shoot a shot with Frankie, or at least try to. And so they finna get ready to leave when CJ comes and he's like, hey, come back over. I don't want y'all to leave yet. He wants them to tell the rest of the group about their family history. And while Cece doesn't really want to expound on it, Devin is still trying to impress Frankie and the rest of the group, right? So Frankie is intrigued about the story, while Trey is hot. Okay, he is hot up under the collar and dares him to go to this old haunt. And so Devin was like, say less. Now I just hope this don't come back to haunt him. So they arrive at the building, and by this time it done got dark, y'all. So it's Trey, Devin, Frankie, Cece, CJ, and the girl from the store, right? Little shoplifter. And Trey uses bolt cutters to get through the lock gates, because who don't have bolt cutters in their car? Apparently he got them on him at all times. I was like, what else are you doing? What type of shenanigans are you into? And so as they're walking, we find out that the place used to be where the military performed medical experiments. And since the incident back in 94, they supposedly upped their security by adding lights and putting all these these locks on gates, so it wouldn't happen again. But here they are, right? So they finally make it to the tunnel, and I don't know what the hell possessed Cece to allow her twin brother to go in this tunnel by himself, but she did, y'all. Now, before he went down there, she told him how much she disapproved of this decision, just to do all this to impress a girl. But he was like, she looked kind of impressed to me. So I'm going to go. Now, he goes in by himself, and he was just supposed to walk this long tunnel, right? Take some pictures in the actual room and come right back. But as he's walking down this tunnel, Cece and Frankie are having a conversation. Trey ain't gonna let her go too far from him. And so Cece tries to piss Trey off because clearly, he been messing with her brother. And so she mentions how him and Frankie used to be really close back in the day. As a matter of fact, Devin was her first kiss. And so this pissed Trey off. All the way off, y'all. He's pissed. And so he uses them same cutters to go knock out the power. Now, as he does this actually triggers the same electrical system that it did all those years ago with Maddie and his crew. And so by this time, Devin done made it down there, right? He kind of looking around, and he's at the very entrance to the room. So when the electrical system get triggered, this kind of like starts to set off everything in the room. We see that compartment go down to the ground, and despite Devin's better judgment, or maybe he don't have no better judgment, he decides to step closer to the opening in the floor. When I tell you, I would have been turned around, I would have been halfway down that tunnel by the time that thing stopped moving. So he gets closer, y'all. And when he gets close enough, he actually sees Maddie's ghost down there in the Beast Boy hoodie, eyes bleeding and everything, right? And so he looked down at Maddie. Excuse me. Now he don't know who Maddie is. And so he looks down at him, he sees him, and Maddie spews that same toxin into Devin's pores. And so Devin inhales it, and the same reaction that Maddie had all those years ago starts to happen to Devin, but he doesn't die. Okay. He takes off. Well, he tries to. He walks as fast as he can down the tunnel, and he gets halfway down before he collapses. Now, Cece is able to finally find him and help him to the car, but I was like, girl, you should have been there to talk him out of doing that in the first place. You should have just took the pictures and went on about your way. Now, the next morning, Cece is checking on Devin, and he says all he remembers is going down to the tunnel, and after that, everything goes black. He doesn't remember anything. And so she gets pissed off because he always doing something extreme to try to prove a point, right? Always trying to garner some type of attention, whether it's negative or positive. He just feel like he got something to prove because he got a chip on his shoulder. Now, Ann comes rushing down because Grandma Naomi done had a bad night at the memory care facility, right? So they need to go down there ASAP. Now Cece can't go because it's her first day of debate camp, so it's just gonna be him and Devin. Now when they arrive, they find her in the lobby, and she's going on and on about Maddie still being alive. They need to find him, and Aunt reminds her that he drowned all those years ago. But she doesn't believe that because, according to her, Maddie was an excellent swimmer, the best swimmer that she knew. So there's no way that he could have drowned. Now he's able to get her calmed down. And after he does this, he has to go speak to the doctor because they want to run some additional testing to see how much her dementia has progressed, right? Because now she's starting to lash out. Of course, there are different phases to it. And so they just want to see where she is, right? And so he was like, okay, so while he's talking to the doctor, her and Devin are sitting next to each other, and Devin don't really know what to do. Question, is Devin on the spectrum? Because he seemed like it sometimes, right? So anywho, or maybe he's just in that really awkward phase. I don't know. So he's sitting next to Grandma, right? And Grandma's looking at him, and then all of a sudden, y'all, Grandma starts to like lash out at Devin. She's claiming that he smells like Maddie. He smells just like Maddie. And she's blaming some girl. This is all her fault that whatever happened to Maddie happened to him, right? And so, of course, the nursing assistant is able to come over and calm her down and walk her back to her room. But this terrifies Devin. As it should, because if she can smell Maddie on you and you saw him unknowingly, yeah, it's time that you have a conversation with your dad. So they finally head back home, and by this time it done got dark outside, right? So Ann was like, you know what? Go ahead and order anything that you want. Just don't order from Gwen in them place because CJ probably gonna eat half of your food, and by the time it get here, it's gonna be cold. So he tells him that there's a whole basket full of takeout menus over there, so kind of just go through those as he's going downstairs to the basement real quick. I guess to process everything that's been going on. I don't know what type of news he got about Grandma Naomi, but it seems like the basement is his place to escape, right, mentally. So as he's going through the takeout menus, he stumbles upon this photo album of Maddie and them when they were younger. And so as he's starting to look through these photos, he happens upon the photo of Maddie in that Beastie Boy hoodie, right? And so he knows that this is his uncle. Now, as he's walking towards the basement. At the same time, down in said basement, and is opening up the evidence bag that had Maddie's clothes in it. And so he's looking at him, and he's upset, of course. And he happens to find this weird this weird debris on the side of Maddie's hoodie. And so he scrapes it into a petri dish and he puts it under a microscope, right? And so he's looking at it, and the debris is starting to move. Like it's forming a sequence, like a DNA sequence, right? And so he like, what the hell? And as that's happening, we can see from the side that his plant is starting to move by itself. And so out of nowhere, the plant grabs him and wraps up his arms, right? And so he's trying to wrestle this poison ivy. He's trying to wrestle poison ivy off of him, right? And so at the same time, Devin is knocking on the basement door. He don't know the code to get in because Ann told them to never come down there. And so he's like, Dad, it's really important. I got to tell you something that's really important. And so by this time, the plant done it grown real fast, y'all. And it done made its way up to the door. And so it makes this loud thump on the door. And when it makes the thump, Devin starts to have like these high frequency humming sounds in his head, right? And so it's so bad that it causes him to go outside. Now, down in the basement, Ann is still struggling to get free from this plant. And so it drags him back to the middle of the basement floor. And there's like a sewer outlet. I don't know, y'all. Y'all know I don't know. And so anyway, the plant ends up going down through there. And Devin is outside, right? He's in the middle of the street at this point. He tries to call Cece. Cece don't answer the phone. He leaves her a voicemail, right? And so as he's hanging up the phone, this plant done came up through the sewer, done grabbed him, and done dragged him down into the sewer. Did y'all say that was extreme? Okay, I thought y'all did. So grabs him and drags him down into the sewers, finna wrap him up, right? They get him on this flat surface down there, and just as the plant is blooming to spray more of the toxin, it did spray toxin, but I guess it wasn't like a lethal amount of toxin into his mouth. Devin is starting to choke. Okay, we start to see the black stuff bleed from his eyes again, and he grabs a lead pipe and throws it, and it forces the sewer door that's open to close, and it kills off part of the plant. Okay, this allows him to free himself, and so he slowly but surely makes his way back up to the entry of the sewer pipe. And so by the time he gets to the street again, where the manhole cover is, that's what it's called, a manhole cover, he's wondering how in the hell he got down in the sewer in the first place. So he done blacked out. He don't remember nothing after the thumping noise. Now, at the same time, down in the basement, because Aunt kept telling him not to come down there, I was like, really? You finna die, you telling him not to come down here? Just give him the code. So down in the basement, he's looking at the petri dish again, since the plant done died on his end too, and there's nothing there. It's gone. Yeah. So this is all the more curious now, but he does have bruises and whelps from where the plant had tied him up. And so we go to somebody's basement. I'm gonna assume that this is Jen. Y'all, shout out to Marisol from Devious Maze. That's Marisol, y'all. That's Anna Ortiz. So I'm assuming this is Jen, but we're in somebody's basement and they have captured pictures of not only Devin and them when they went to the military base, but they also have older pictures of Maddie and the other three that went missing. And that's the way the episode ends, y'all. Pretty good. Pretty good beginning. I'm curious to see what's gonna happen. Of course, a little extra, a little extreme on the plant fight, but we gonna get there. I don't think I ever read that book. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about it, okay? You can reach me at Me and You TV Reviews on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach me at My TV Reviews Podcast without the S on the end at gmail.com. I love y'all. Okay. Like I said, I worked on a whole bunch of shows this weekend. So we've got shows coming between today, tomorrow, and probably Tuesday. All right. Probably a day off. And then we right back to it. Okay. So that's all I have for now. I love y'all. And until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Oh, y'all, please keep praying for LA. Please keep praying. We got snow, but what is snow compared to thousands of people losing their lives? Their homes. Um, so far it's been 16 people confirmed dead from the fires. So y'all just keep your prayers up for them, and if you have the means to contribute, then please do that, because they're gonna need all of it. All right, y'all, that's all I have. Y'all stay safe out there, and until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.